Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. My once a week work spouse is having technical issues.
I thought this was talking crit, not tavern chat.
Oh,
I know
whatever it
that
is.
there's so many streams that you
There
cross.
is so many. Yeah, talking. Well, see, Mike had it pop out. Hold on, let me.
Are we live yet? Are we live?
We're live, Mike.
Oh,
We're
I thought I came back in live. Yeah. Oh, everybody
We
sounds
don't
good.
wait for you.
Yeah. Well, how can you not wait? I'm one of the founding members of Talking Grid. How dare you?
I know,
sir?
but you weren't
How
here.
dare you?
You not being here confused me. It has nothing to do
All right,
with
well,
When you
I'm here
move
now.
past 28.8 modem, then we'll start like we'll wait for you. But as
Yeah,
long as you're like, I love dial-up, I gotta have it.
And that 14.4.
Hey, at least I didn't try to connect the internet with a with what did Kim try to connect with tonight? A Pac-Man or something? I mean, what was she connecting that night? She's never going to live that down.
Kim, by the way, is in the chat. Just so you know.
Oh, Kim, I love you, baby. Love you so
when you're
much.
slinging your mud.
So much.
And strangely enough, we have a special guest for all of these shenanigans this week. We have the scariest DM in all of Texas.
Oh my God, I'm going to own that, huh?
You're gonna. There are worse labels, right? Like most of the DMs are like, "What do you think?" "Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to be in one of his games." Or then there's the people like, "Oh, I can't wait to be in their games." And then they're like, "I was told to sign up for his games by him, and if I don't sign up for him, he's going to find me. He's going to hurt me."
Did you guys hear the story about Long Con?
No.
But we want the story from Long Con.
So I know it's my face. I can't make it different. I told you. They used to call me Scary Bird Face, especially when I'm working. I don't think about it. It's just that's my face. If you know me, I am the nicest person around. I will do anything for you, but sometimes my face looks mean. So I signed up to run one of my adventures or several adventures for Long Con because that's another con like your guys' con that's phenomenal. And people were afraid to come to the table, and I was like. And the lady came, and I'm not going to name the name. So I made inroads to try to make friends with her because every time I see her, I just try to be warm and friendly now. But there was two ladies that were scared to death of me and wouldn't come over and play. And they were sitting like 2 tables away, just staring at me like, "Are you going to eat these people?" Oh my God, that's terrible. I don't want anybody to feel like that.
I feel like the root of this story is not what Matt believes it is. Have you seen the video that's floating around on the internet? Of the cruise ship of women who were there. It was a romance novel cruise, and there was a problem. So they had all the women disembark from the boat, and so the entire Castaway Key boat thing is filled with hundreds and hundreds of women who were there for a cruise about romance novels. And the firefighters walk in, and there is a low, seething moan that emerges from the audience. That truly, it was like a gathering of leopardesses that just. And if you watch, one of the firefighters is like, "I'm not sure I want to walk in the room, man. Like I got some. No, I'm not doing this." So Matt, that may be it. That they took a look at the Matt experience and there was pause.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
No.
Speaking of Mr. Firefighter, did you guys see where Beatty got me?
No. What?
So Beatty, obviously David and I have become good friends, and so he's going to support my Kickstarter, and so he sends out this thing that please support Matt's Kickstarter because he's trying to be a fireman, and he's just always wanted to be a fireman his whole life. And I'm like, "You bastard!" So I can't even go at him because obviously he's trying to prop up my Kickstarter. He's this long thing, and I was like, "Well done, sir." Okay.
Well, and the problem with Beatty is that if you turn your back for a second, you get a box full of kittens, or he's stuck with calico in your pocket, or you open your bag and it's like, here come 2 fat tabbies, and you're just
is there any better chick magnet than a firefighter who loves kittens? I mean, that's just come on, man. I mean, Beatty is not playing fair. Beatty is absolutely not playing fair with that shit.
No, absolutely not. So Matt, was it a good NTRPG for you?
Oh, it was fantastic. Honestly, you guys put on such a good. It's very special.
It's not me. It's him and
Mike.
Gary.
Yeah, Mike and Gary. It's funny because Gary, I think, sometimes is intimidated by me too, and I don't mean to. Because sometimes I bark when I want something, and Gary came over. He's like, he rolled his eyes like, what? And I'm like, oh, I said, I just want to tell you how great you guys are. And honestly, folks, if you've never been there, it's super special. Get a ticket before it sells out because it looks like it's going to
we're
sell.
sold half our tickets. Already sold half. Just letting people know.
That's crazy. I was 32, I think. So I'm already in.
Discount to the end of July, still a discount, and I would recommend not waiting a long time this year.
I think before the first day of official winter, I'm going to guess. So we're not. Don't wait till next year, folks.
I'm just throwing that out there.
It may be done before the fall hits. That's right.
And doesn't that just give everybody the right to go, I got my golden ticket and you can't get one? Right?
There you go.
That's the best. Yeah. That's just that.
Well,
you get to embrace the smug, right?
2 years ago, it was we sold out by March 1st, and last year we sold out in February. I'm thinking Christmas might, I'm just saying, if you want to go, don't be one of those poor saps that has to walk up and they can't pre-sign up for games. You gotta look like a hobo there over by the big chart and find,
Doesn't Gary call those
Eric Tenkar's running a game. I'll sign up for Eric Tenkar's game. He needs some people, and just don't be that person that does that. No.
Yeah, you get stuck with the scary DM that nobody wants to play.
I got the scary DM. I don't want to feel.
I don't want to play with Greg Gillespie. He kills everybody.
Why is this game's table next to the exhaust generator for the food truck? I don't understand.
But I don't want to play in a James Raggy game. I
don't understand.
Why would I have to play in James Raggy's Sex Dungeon of Doctor whatever?
Hey, nobody complained about James's games. All right. I will say
you know what? He surprisingly kept that game PG. I heard.
Really?
The Sex Dungeon of Dr. Pervert or something. I don't know. And it's surprisingly it was PG-13. So.
Well, there's a game that I want to get in. It was David Hubbard was in it. There's a bunch of characters in it, and they were retirees in Boca. And it started at 10 o'clock, and it was an adult-only game. And if I get a chance, I want in that game next year. Because everybody has to stay in character the whole game. It sounded hysterical. And I was like, I am in that game.
The shenanigans, right? That
was just...
There are some games, like I've always said this, you hire some people because they're amazing and they bring talent and they're exactly what you need to fill a position. You hire some people because you think you can develop that talent and that there's the raw seed for potential and you want to make sure they're a part of your organization. But every once in a while, you really do have to hire simply because the entertainment potential is fabulous. And there are games that when I go through the catalog sometimes, I'm just like, that looks like it would be shenanigans, nonstop shenanigans. And I love that, right? I think that's the best.
Well, we have, by the way, we have Matt on here and we like him so much. We've already gone off the rails, but Matt's here. He's promoting a Kickstarter. No, it's not your fault. It's our fault. Matt's promoting a Kickstarter. That's why we had him on here. I really wanted to get him on, obviously before the Kickstarter was over. He's still got 2 weeks. Jim has the question for you that Jim always asks.
So the question is simple, Matt. You've got 30 seconds to pitch your Kickstarter project. What's your elevator pitch for your project?
It is a 0-level funnel and gauntlet for Shadow Dark and DCC. You are in the village of Port Mirror. You are trapped, and you need to save the village. And then during saving the village, you realize that an evil cult has taken half of the prisoners down to the mines and working them as slaves, and the other half is being converted to the evil dead.
Not the good dead, the evil dead. And that's the problem.
It introduces the with mail setting. So there's, I introduced the 21 god pantheon, but it'll drop into any setting that you want to use for. It's really fun. It's pretty challenging. It combines both systems, but it doesn't, when you play it, it plays very much like DCC, or if you play the Shadow Dark, it plays very much like Shadow Dark.
Okay.
That'll be my 30-second pitch.
And so you've got 2 weeks to go. You're roughly within spitting distance of your goal, but you're not quite there yet. and I'm going to ask the questions we always ask because we're painful this way. Already laid out, already written, all the arts in.
I'm already printed.
Holy
Oh my
smokes!
God.
Stop! We can
Yes.
only get so many natural 20s.
Yes, so this is the test print copy. The blue little tabs you see, the little sticky notes. I'm old school. We went through and marked anything we didn't like, so it's already been sent back to the final print.
Yep.
I'm waiting on that one. But yeah, everything is good. It looks really good. There's a video online where I flipped through it. The only thing that I'm saving is I didn't flip through. I didn't give you guys a preview of the Pantheon, which is in the back. Pantheon, sorry. But yeah, it's ready to go. If you guys, we talked last year during Massacre Grounds, and I like to be thorough and have stuff done. I don't want to be stressed. I also feel like if you've gone out of your way to support me with your hard-earned money, I want to give it to you as quick as I can get it to you.
That's amazing. I love the logo. I think that's
thank you.
really, 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 really cool. I like that a lot. Who did that artwork?
So Joey Dosel did all the artwork for the book.
Yep.
You will find, and it won't be in this Kickstarter, but in a future Kickstarter, we have that logo that's been colorized by Ian Rucker. He did a dice tray out of that, so it is really cool.
wow.
Of course, it's downstairs, and I'm upstairs in my house, so I can't show it. So that's helpful, but it looks really cool. I got it at North Texas. He'd done a demo once, so I had it at the table with me. So yeah, I really love Joey's art. We've become dear friends.
Very cool.
Those are great.
It's wonderful to work with somebody that really inspires you. And I know that sometimes our wives think we're a little bit creepy because we'll be late at night texting, and my wife's like, "Can you just look at porn like a normal person?" And I'm
wow.
like, "She's just like."
I'm very happy for you, Matt. That's a jealous, rage-inducing insight into your marriage. Congratulations.
Yeah. But instead, we're texting back pictures of goblins, and like he's like, "What do you about this? Well, what if we did this?" And like it's just kind of it's a lot.
Very wholesome, man. That's extremely wholesome.
Your children will be glad to see this 10 years from now and go, "Ew, Dad, you were texting goblins." Jeez, that's great.
Yeah, but no, he's definitely somebody that I enjoy working with. As does Bert. Bert Isla is my editor. And he's been my rock through most of through Massacre Grounds through this, and then I really enjoy working with him also.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So now you're down in the mine right there. So that's the Mirror Gold Mine. The one thing I did not anticipate is when you go down the Mirror Gold Mine, that how greedy player characters are in a funnel. They're like, I'm just going to sit here and mine gold. I'm like, no, you're going to get attacked.
That ain't the adventure, man. Oh yeah, but who cares?
They're like, but I'm just going to mine gold. But yeah, so when you go down into the mine, it's pitch dark, of course. Hobgoblins and goblins have infravision.
Sure.
So they can see. You can't. Of course, wandering through the dark, you run into some other things. And once you clear those out, hopefully, it's the first really exposure you get to that. Oh, there's a little tougher grade of monster down here being the hobgoblins. So after you get through and save the town folk down there, there's a couple little surprises waiting for you, because it wouldn't be fun if we didn't have something weird. And so there's a brain-sucking monster. Down in there, and then there's also a giant sea turtle that's the kind of the combination of Mr. Fantastic and he's got a couple other abilities. He's kind of a custom-made monster. I think the turtle art is on the Kickstarter, but yeah. So if you want to challenge yourself in there and really go for it, there's I haven't had anybody get their brain sucked out of by the slugs yet, but I'm hoping. Because then after it sucks your brain, it turns you into a zombie.
That's excellent.
This is a funnel, not a TPK. My God.
Hey, Eric, can you scroll down to the monsters? Let's show them.
Yeah, the artwork's great on those. It's absolutely great. I love the way he does a great job. Wow.
Look at that.
These are nice.
Look at that. Ooh.
So
I feel like, Matt, that is a catfish that bit you once. I feel like you were noodling, and this didn't go well.
So remember when I told you Joey and I stay up late at night and talk about crazy stuff? Well, he sends me this picture of this big fish that is, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it, but it looks kind of like that, and it's big and giant, and it's a river fish in like some Asia or China, I can't remember. But he's like, wouldn't it be cool if we had something? I go, oh yeah, this is going in. Because in Port Mirror, you are surrounded by the river that goes through, the Mirror River. So I needed a creature that made sure that, oh, we're going to get out of this funnel. We're just going to jump in a boat and row out. Well, you can jump in a boat, but you might meet somebody fun and interesting, green with a little bit of brown and red. He probably is going to come visit when you get in that boat. Because everybody thinks, oh, I'll just jump in the boat, sail out, and then, funnel over with.
I feel like there's still time for you to include the first ever Shadow Dark noodling table, right? That this could give you some fame and acclaim at Bass Pro Shops that you didn't necessarily expect to have. Just thought, right?
So the creature that was in the river, that's the river reaver, and then that one there is the Hayer turtle. There's a god, and he's the god of the sea, and it's in Withmail, and so one of his creatures that represents him is that turtle. And he's pretty nasty because his appendages stretch like Mr. Fantastic, big Fantastic Four name.
And is this a thin disguise of one of your pets? I'm sorry, this really does look like this is a dog in real life that just happened. I feel like Jake has a counterpart.
Jake, if you know my giant Irish setter Rose, no, she looks nothing like. I am a big dog fan. Beatty can go stuff it with his cats.
Ow.
I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
So I'm a horse and dog guy. I love running in different campaigns. I love running hounds. I think it just makes it fun. So I gave you an NPC that you can use, and Jake the dog is pretty freaking stout.
Nice.
And he's
a war dog. I like
he's
it.
a war dog, and always liked that charity years ago. Hopefully it's still going strong, but they were bringing the war dogs back from the Middle East, and I was big into that charity, and so I use the name War Dog, and it's something that means a lot to me, and I don't use it lightly. But I think it's really cool. And then, like I said, I'm a huge dog fan. I have 3 dogs.
And this is a service dog, not like one of those handbag dogs or heaven help us, that crazy woman that tried to get the emotional support peacock on a Delta airplane, right? This is a dog that actually works.
It's not Pickles. I heard about Pickles from Paige. So, yeah, that's not Pickles.
Well, that's fantastic. Those just look great. And so you're once as a backer, you're fulfilling through drive-through. Is that right? You're fulfilling through the drive-through print service.
Yeah, we're do print on demand through drive-through. So you got to have an account. The PDFs will come through drive-through.
Right.
It worked pretty fluidly last time. If you do back, if you already have back, thank you very much. If you do back, please update your emails to whatever is current on drive-through. That tends to be frustrating for all of us when I can't get your stuff, and then you come at me months later saying I didn't get my stuff, and that's the first thing I say. Well, what emails your drive-through account? So, but drive-through, it's not perfect, but it works pretty well.
And so, can you explain what the commentary? I'm looking at the different levels. There's Port Mirror and Massacre Grounds, and then there's the other. So. Commentary Massacre Ground. What's the commentary version? Can you?
So, if you guys remember when I was on here about a year ago, and honestly, it's funny because my son is playing in a national baseball tournament right now.
Nice.
And so I was at the field all day, and I was thinking, because last time I actually did it from the field.
You were on the field last year.
I was on the field.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I remember that. That was hilarious. Yes.
So this time I get to do it from my house in the non-heat. So the commentary version was something that we talked about if we met the stretch goals for Massacre Grounds. I was going to write all the zany stories, the cowboy, unedited. They're not racy. So Goodman put it as an adult content book. I think adult content books should be more va-va-voom. It's, one of the stories in it is...
wait. Could it perhaps you mean Boom Boom And they mean boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. But it basically tells the story behind the story. A lot of the characters in Master Grounds are all family members. By family members, when I was growing up, and probably when you guys were, we had aunts and uncles that were not relatives.
Right.
Yeah.
They were strong family members that were just, you adopted them. They adopted you. So a lot of these guys were just like family to me. I grew up around them, around campfires, doing crazy stuff around the, on horses and just laughing. So some of it is very adult. Some of it, the farrier in Master Grounds is a gentleman named Kirk Haspel. He introduced me to boobs. So I tell that story. If you guys remember Heather Thomas from Fall Guy.
Yes.
So,
I'm sorry, wait a
bikini?
minute. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody had that poster growing up.
Yes.
So I had, go ahead. You're slowing me down. You're like, don't tell this story.
No, we're just basking in a moment of Heather Thomas. It's okay.
Heather Thomas.
I didn't have the Heather
I might
Thomas
have to
poster, but
Google this.
I wasn't familiar with it.
Yes.
There were many Heather Thomas posters.
Yes.
I did have to Google.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kirk knew about it in my room, and so he brought over a friend that was blonde haired, and she was, I think, she either had a blue bikini or bikini in the posters, or maybe both. But this was a white bikini, and I think it was 12-year-old me. We were in the pool in our backyard, and she came over, and we were like, and so I was just like, wow. So yeah, we went from this is an imaginary thing on the wall to that is the real thing right there. And so I tell the story hopefully a little bit better than that, but and also trying to keep it kind of sound. But there's really no foul language. There's just kind of the crazy cowboys I grew up with, the jokes we used to do. It also has a lot of emotions for me as far as like all these guys are dead. I mean, they all died. They lived hard and died hard. So that's the commentary behind it. It also gives you some insight of what I was thinking. Massacre Grounds is based on a lot of real life stuff. So the Bloody Cave, the Superstition Wilderness. So I tell you those stories too. Like the Bloody Cave is kind of sad. General Crook and his troopers rounded the Apaches into that cave. They made sure that they made a funnel and got them in there. And once they got in there, they slaughtered them. That was the Apache Wars. It was what it was. I'm not making commentary on that, but it's just a fact.
Right.
And so for years, those bones sat there. So I tell stories like that. So it's not, that's the factual part of it. Of course, when you go in there, there is a Hataquilla rider, a wolf rider. So for my character class in there, so I tell a little bit about that. And Beatty, the son of a gun, I had to get him to talk to me. So that's how I pitched the book to him. I was like, hey, I want to do this. And he's like, well, tell me about it. I go, well, there's a big cat rider. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, the guy rides a giant mountain lion. He's like, okay, I'm in. And I'm like, don't you want to hear the rest of it? He's like, no.
No, you had him a giant cat.
Giant cat. Yeah.
Pitch is good enough.
It was, yeah. So that's class in there. I talk about that.
So,
it's really kind of fun. It's something that it's worth $5 extra if you want it. It's something that I promised as a stretch goal, but it's something that's you're not going to download a PDF of it. Right. It's not something I want you to click and paste. So it's just a print thing. It's a lot of fun. We haven't had I don't know if anybody grabbed it yet. I've gotten a lot of questions about it, but I think people are not scared of it. But I think
so. Let me ask you a question. You've got two very distinct flavors. You've got DCC, which is like a Molly Hatchet album cover come to life, circa 1977, 78, flirting with disaster, and then you've got Shadow Dark, which does not have the same aesthetic. So how do you sort of balance trying to work in both of those sort of areas with one subject matter? So do you find yourself tweaking one thing? You're the first person that we've encountered that's decided I'm going to take this and I'm going to bridge both worlds. So I'm really interested to hear what your take is on that.
So I'm going to kind of back that up with a little story. So I played at LongCon, Ramsey Williams. I played in his Shadow Dark game. And Ramsey is a phenomenal GM.
Yep.
He's really good. He was running Tom Wilson's adventure. I can't think of it. The kobolds, the goblins are fighting each other. Great little adventure. But what Ramsey did is he added the exploding dice. And we were having a blast at the table with the exploding dice because it added an element to Shadow Dark that Shadow Dark can be kind of grim and rough because without the exploding dice, you do a D6 of damage. But when we started doing that, everybody was cheering. And then Matt Robinson, who had the Goodman Games book booth right next to us, walked over later and he's, "Hey, Matt, are you guys playing DCC?" I go, "No, we were playing Shadow Dark." He's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, it was a lot of fun." And of course, the GM, some guys can just run anything. I think Ramsey's that talented. But yeah, so then that kind of got the wheels going. And I added the Shadow Dark layer because I wanted 20 years of being a police officer, I'm very tactical. So I wanted tactical. Yeah,
I can't imagine your head is ever not on a swivel.
No. So, hence the face. Sorry.
Yes, I'm certain that it was your wife that initiated the contact. Yes, I'm certain of that. Yes.
Sorry. But yeah, once I started really getting into it, so it's definitely got a flavor that's unique because you're sneaking around and trying not to get caught. And I wanted the Shadow Dark elements of the light because you're in a burning town. There's lots of soot in the air. It's very gritty. I've had people run through it just like a muck and they lived, but it's better if you're peeking in windows and crawling around and using the dark,
right?
Which is very Shadow Dark. But it also has some DCC elements that I think make it a lot of fun, which is the brain-sucking monsters, the hay arrow turtles. There is a fiendish cockroach. I think that's in one of the pictures too.
Is there another variety of cockroach? Because if there is, I've never met it.
Yeah, that one would not want to meet because it's about the size of a dog and it spits at you. So DCC adding the fun monsters in there was a given, and then converting them over. So it's a little bit of both. And when you play it, it runs very Shadow Dark or it runs very DCC. It's very easy for the GM to really get into, or the judge to really get into running it as its own thing. So it just works. We've gotten really good feedback. We played it as a Shadow Dark funnel. Everybody, had a blast with it. And then we did it. So I didn't do anything gimmicky with it. There's no exploding dice, although I would encourage the way Ramsey runs it. It's a lot of fun. And then DCC, you have 12 characters that you can run, 4 each. And you can run it that way. And you just run people out to the slaughter. So it works. You're like, okay, so I'm going to distract these wolves, and these 3 characters are going to distract the wolves because I got 3 in reserve. So there you go.
We'll clog their swords with our bodies. Go.
See if you can break their jaw. Maybe they'll bite you and break their jaw. And then
that's right. I've got my sword trapped in 3 peasants. I need another sword. Yes, DCC has a lot going for it.
No, because originally that was kind of what got it going, and I really liked the idea of it. Doing 2 separate books is not fiscally responsible. It's really hard because it's not. Everybody thinks, you just put 2 different labels on it and you can do the same thing, but there's double the cost.
Double your costs.
Yeah,
you double your cost and you cut your sales. Yes.
Yeah, and you can't. So I did it, and I don't love dual-stated books, but it really works. People that have run it have enjoyed it. It runs exactly the way you want it to in the game system you run it to. So hopefully, they always the old adage for the PD is the first one through the door gets shot in the head. Eric can tell you this. So hopefully I make it through and don't get shot in the head. But I don't know. In my brain, I guess it works.
I have a friend who was a door knocker during the War on Terror, and he was shot point blank in the Kevlar helmet as he went through a door. Now he survived, had a concussion in the whole 9 yards, but when you hear these stories, you just cringe, right? You just I can't imagine.
No, and thank your friend for his service because that's not easy. I know that a lot of military people were worried that we were going right back with the current what's going on.
Yes. Let's amen and hallelujah. When you have a son who's of draftable age, these are the
I've
things
got
you
two.
think about. Yes, right.
I've got two. So yeah, I'm a big supporter of the U.S. So if and that's all I'm going to say. But we're not going to get into
No, enough
discussion.
said. We're all
But
good.
I've got two boys that are draftable, and I'm like, oh boy.
Well, I've got a son in the Navy and a grandson in the Air Force. So right now, so it's a tough one.
Your grandson just benefits so much from the fact that by the time the Air Force came around, the Army and the Marines had locked up the worst places to have training camps, right? Like all the Air Force camps are like, can you believe this? It's hot, but it's not humid, so it's pretty good here, right? Like this is.
Oh,
and meanwhile, there's Lejeune.
My favorite story was when they were on their boot camp. And it was real muddy outside, so they called the Army out to lay down planks to their tents so the Air Force guys wouldn't get mud on their uniform. But that's not the best part. The best part was when they get in their tents, it's really humid in there. So then the Army had to come install portable air conditioners because we can't have the Air Force guys sweating if they walk through the
These
mud.
jokes write themselves. Right, the Chair Force jokes write themselves.
Oh my goodness!
So
it's everything. It's everything you imagine and more. It really is. Everything.
It is very similar to the relationship Fire and PD have. Fire gets their truck, comes out, their refresh truck, and they get sandwiches and cut fruit and a moist towelette, and we get here's Burger King in a bag.
That's right.
You get that much? I mean,
and we ordered it 2 hours ago.
Gary Heck's like, yeah, Burger King? Where was the Burger King?
Yeah, it was that was a special day. Usually, cheese and crackers and a bottle of water.
Yeah, usually it was like, well, Rikers didn't need it, so hey here you go.
And they're the firemen.
Seconds.
Yes. I mean, we could spend the next hour and a half talking about cop stories. And first, I was telling so after events of this weekend, I posted on Facebook and I told the story. So my dad's at Fort Meade. He's completed a tour of duty at Fort Meade in the medical corps. And he was due for an overseas posting. And his CO says, listen, I got 2 slots open. You're my number 1 candidate. You get first pick. Whatever you don't take, the next guy's going to go. Right. But you get to pick which place you want to go. So he sat down and got to both assignments and he looked up where they were and did a little research, went home, said to my stepmom, said, okay, these are the choices. It's A or B. And A is what I think is the better choice. It's Kuala Lumpur. It's in Malaysia. It's a former British crown colony. It's a joint U.S. British military base. Like, I think that would probably, like, our U.S. dollars will go far. Like, I think this is the better choice. Because the other is B, and he tells her and she's like, yeah, I would probably these words don't come out of your mouth very often, but let's go to Malaysia. So that's what they did. So he knew the guy. He was at Fort Meade with the guy who took the other, which was in 1977, a 3-year posting to the U.S. Embassy in Tehran.
Oh, that's rolling a 1, baby.
And as everything rolled out in Iran over the 3 years they were in Kuala Lumpur, like every once in a while, my dad would just be like,
Jim, you missed getting up in the middle of the night, throwing all your belongings in a helicopter and hauling ass out of the country.
Well, I don't think that the guy that took the job was one of the hostages, but he was at the embassy and he went through shenanigans and
wow.
And the Army world, the world is too small, right? It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be in Nepal and you'll find somebody whose cousin is your ex-neighbor, right? It's too small a world. Mm-hmm. And my dad knew that guy in the medical corps for a long time. He ended up going to Tehran. So anyway, but so Matt, after the last Kickstarter, where do your ideas come from? Like, do you have like a stray thought, like stray voltage, and you're like, I want to do a mine, or are you out and about and you see something that provokes you and says, like that's the glimmer of an idea? Like, how does your creative process work?
A lot of times I'm out and about and I think about, so Arizona is a big mining state.
Yep.
So I definitely wanted to stick to the roots of like mining. Port Muir was written as the intro to With Mail. The Withmail book is still in the original Cult of the Winged Skull. That's still out there. But I wanted something that was a little bit smaller. I rushed that one out. I tried to do 2 books. I wanted to give people a small, appetizer of everything.
Yep.
Plus, I wanted to keep the stuff that I know. So that was kind of the inspiration for Port Mirror, because it was like, okay, how did we get to the Cult of the Winged Skull? Because you start off in the mercenary army, the Screaming Fist. Sorry, couldn't remember my own writing. So I was like, how did you get there? And I'm like, okay, so you were at some point, because DCC and Shadow Dark both have Gauntlet or a funnel. So I'm like, okay, so how would you get there? And that kind of spurred on, like, okay, you were in this town, the town got attacked, and then at the end, the Screaming Fist kind of roll in, too little, too late, and so that was kind of the process behind it. When you do, I wanted the funnel to be a little bit more, and I wanted it to be a little challenging, because there's people that really want to sink their teeth in, and there's gamers that just want to do the bare minimum and get through, and there's other guys that really wanted to sink in and like have some fun. So I put a lot of more challenging stuff in there that you can just kind of ignore and go and avoid. And then, but I wanted somebody that, like, when I play, it's like, I don't care that my paper character dies. I don't get too attached, and I want to run around and have some fun. So I add some of that stuff in there where, like, nobody has decided to take on the turtle, because you're going to die. Do
you blame them? I've seen the picture.
Yeah, but I would, because it's just like, because that's like, when I play golf, I don't want to hit, like, I don't want to lay up. I suck at golf. I want to have something to tell when I'm having the beer. I want my glory.
That's right.
So go ahead.
No. I have a question in a different direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, with 2 weeks to go, I think you're on track to have this fund, and I do. I really think you're on your way to getting this funded. But Cult of the Winged Skull did not, and you pulled the campaign. So when something like that happens, I'm really sort of curious. Are you setting that aside, and I'm going to revisit that, and I'm going to change some things up? Do you think that it just needs some time for the market to mature a little to understand it? What's your? I mean, first of all, I'm sorry, because I saw that, and it just sort of it makes me ache, right? Because I like seeing creators have success with that stuff.
Right.
So, do you think it's not enough publicity? Do you think it didn't resonate, or you need to rework it? What's your thoughts on that, Matt?
So I think I got 130 backers on it. I did fairly well for a new. I tell people I'm the 4-point townfolk guy that I'm playing. As far as a writer goes, I am the 4-point hit point guy running around.
Right.
So I've got one project that funded. I went ahead and tried to pull down a 150-page book and throw it at people. And I had some wonderful experienced people in the business say, "What are you doing right now? You're a little nutty."
Right.
So it was too much. I think people need to get to know me more. It is still there. It's not going anywhere.
Sure.
And then it was just, Zach and Chen Glazer, the fireman, Beatty, the Levi Combs. God, I'm going to leave out people. Tom Wilson. I'm going to leave out some people that
I think what I'm hearing is people with an understanding of the process were the ones that were trying to say, well, hold on a second.
Slow down.
Yep.
And so I had to, you get excited about stuff, and I do, because I've been playing for so long, and it's like, I know it's good. I just need to tell you it's this good. And I think when you try to do that, you come off kind of insane. You're like, okay, let me sit down. I'll give you the 30-minute, but 30-minute or 30-second turns into 30 minutes. And I think, this will give people a taste of it if you enjoy it. Settings can be really fun and enjoyable. Other people don't like them. The other thing is I got clobbered by Shadow Dark. Her Kickstarter started, and that I think the top tier was $250.
I believe what I'm hearing is as all of the money in the RPG space was sucked into a single Kickstarter. Yeah.
She was I was struggling to get to because I did 2 books. I didn't do a dual step. I had to get to 6K.
Yes.
Doing a book for about 2,500 is just about what everybody's at. I go, like you guys have seen, I go full on with my art. Artists need to get paid. Editors need to get paid. Writers, typically, we don't really get paid that much. We maybe make enough to start another project.
Right.
It's just the way it is. When she's pulling down $2 million on her second day, or pretty close to it, I mean, and she's wonderful. Like, I didn't get to talk to her, but like everybody floods around her. She is very good personality. I have nothing bad to say about her.
It would be one thing. It'd be one thing if Kelsey was like this emaciated crone smoking Camel no filters and going, "I took your money. I took all of it. I hate all of you." Right? But she's not, and that's what makes it so. You're like, daggone it, Kelsey. Like, you had to take all the money in March. All of it? You took all the money.
All the money. Yeah, so I'm literally the 4 hit point little. I don't even know if I got 4 hit points, but I'm this little guy with a pen. I don't even have a sword. I have a pen running in, and I'm like, I just got slaughtered.
So let me ask you a question, Matt. Right? You've got your own label, right? You've got your own company, and why don't you tell people what it is? Because I just love the name of it.
So Cranky Clydesdale is a combination of, I love horses. If you follow me on social media, you will definitely see a lot of pictures of me on a horse. Some people are like only in it for the horse pictures. Kim, I know that. Kim
are you shirtless in these horse pictures?
No,
I mean,
no. Those. If we fund, maybe we could do that.
Whoa, stop! We're not that kind.
It's the family show.
That's the secret goal.
Is it really?
Not true, but we pretend we're a family show.
We're not. We're really not. But let's just think.
So I'm going to call out. Kim is in the chat. I think she is still.
Back from the links on the bottom of the screen, by the way. It's on that revolving link, but I'll put a direct link in.
Yes, please.
So Kim came up and wanted to talk to me about horses. We sat and talked about horses. I don't think we talked 1 second about, hey, I've got a Kickstarter coming up. We just talked about horses. She's going to come out to Arizona to come visit. I'm going to take her for a ride. So yeah, I spend a lot of my time on a horse, and people really do enjoy that. And that's just me. But yeah, so a lot of times I forget to sell my own stuff because I just get to talking and then I forget that, oh yeah, I want you to buy something. That would be helpful. So yeah.
So I and having been, for 5 years, having been around the Calgary Stampede every other night behind the curtain, behind the scenes for the rodeo and everything else. I saw Cranky Clydesdale and I was like, yeah, and I've seen some pretty irate Palominos too, but between the chucks and the chuck wagon races and so on and so forth. So when you're ready to relaunch, the question I have is so you work solo, right? You do all this as a one-man show.
Right.
Do you see yourself if there's a company that gets off the ground and is looking for more writers, do you see yourself as being available or something that might be interested to be part of a stable of other more experienced people sort of coming together and creating projects going forward? Is that something that interests you?
Yeah, I think I would be silly if I said no. The thing about it has to be a positive environment. I'm done. You work. Eric can tell you this. You work for the city for a certain amount of time, and you have good bosses and you have bad bosses. I'm done working for bad bosses.
Sure.
But yeah, it's somebody that was positive and wanted to bring in, good writing without an agenda. I'd be totally in. But as a brand new guy, that opportunity isn't out there. I mean, I was asked to do Crawl for the Cure, and I was very honored that they would, for me, a nobody that asked. So I submitted X-Crawl Rodeo.
Yep.
So I submitted that in there for them. Hopefully they enjoy that. It's a lot of fun. And the other thing, I wanted to do my own thing because I have a bunch of ideas. So I love the Weird West. I love Gangbusters. I'm a big fan of Mark Hunt. He's been very gracious in reaching out and mentoring a little bit and telling me stuff. So I've got an adventure for Gangbusters waiting. I told you guys that I think last time, the baseball game is probably never going to see the light of day unless it becomes X-Crawl baseball. But
I would be interested to see what X-Crawl baseball is about.
Yeah, it's a whole, we won't even get into that. I'm eclectic in the way I write, in that I work on several projects at the same time.
Yep.
Because when I get stuck, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go write this. Or I'll be on my horse. This is a funny story, and really, I'm really not mean or murdery, but I was riding my horse with a young lady that was, older, so young, 60s young, right? So she was saying, we were riding down by the Salt River, and she's telling me, it's really dangerous down here. I go, yeah, you really have to watch what you're doing. And she's like, no, I mean, like, you could murder me right now. And nobody would see it. I'm like,
not usually the stray thought I had.
Yeah,
I appreciate the notion.
Yeah, that's very charming. Yes, charming.
So I'm just like, wow. I'm like, okay.
You got to cut back on the true crime podcast, lady. You really got to cut back on
this lady was so into true crime. So I look up, and there's an eagle, and the picture, I'll have the picture to share, but the picture got posted on Facebook. There's an eagle in the tree above me. And I'm like, yeah, the only witness. So I'm at this point going to be a clown. So I'm like, yeah, the only witness would be that eagle. So then later on, we bumped into a herd of javelinas. Like, oh, now I got to get rid of the javelinas too. They're gonna, but
so many witnesses.
So many witnesses now, and then it kind of spawned a spin-off adventure from Massacre Grounds that will be probably an add-on adventure, and it's the Salt River serial killer. So it's this priest that got possessed by the 7 days of night. Starts murdering people, and it's 1868, and so he starts murdering all these people, and it's old school Sherlock Holmes detective stuff, but in the western frontier, in what will be Mesa, Arizona. But I started basically from her crazy, way too much overactive mind, and then the problem is she didn't think it was funny, and I did. So then I started sharing, like, oh yeah, he murders this person and does this. And my son has been out since we actually talked last time for baseball. He actually hurt his elbow, and so he's been out for a year. So lots of frustrating thing as a parent when your kid has been hurt a year, kid to get back. But now he's back. He's had his second tournament. He's playing in a national tournament this weekend. So Reed, I'm super proud of you as a dad. I don't care if you ever make a big team, but man, you worked your ass off to get back, and good for you.
My son got checked from behind and went face first into the boards in Calgary, and he had a really bad concussion, and was a couple of weeks before he could skate again. And that first time back, I told him, I was like, you got to get back out on the ice, right? Like you can't let this sideline you. You got to go back out and do it. So good on him. Like, well done.
Yeah. So when you're going through all that medical stuff, and especially a year long, you get frustrated with our American medical system. I know Canada's a little bit different, but for us, sometimes the service is very good, sometimes it's very bad. Yes. But you find yourself developing some anger. So every person,
I can't see you angry, Matt. I just can't.
Yeah. So the Salt River serial killer murdered all those people, and I changed names and put them in the book. So, so it was, nobody got hurt, but I had a lot of fun doing it. It was kind of like my therapy.
I think it's cathartic is the word you're looking for.
Yeah,
there was some cathartic therapy in the, yes.
So I don't know that anybody would hire that because the when I start telling that story, people are like, "Oh," but so I have a good time writing, and things spawn, like that's kind of my process. Things spawn off into something else, and then so we have a lot of fun.
When I was about 10 or 11, I read all about the Copper Wars. I read all about the Copper Wars and how you had guys fighting underground when one mine would connect to another, and all the shenanigans and so on and so forth. Do you want to try to incorporate some of that at something else? I mean, it's such a rich part of the mining history from your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah,
it just comes to mind is my thought.
The Demons Reawakened, which is the Reanimated. I'm sorry, I get the name wrong because there's two very similar names, but that's already written. So that's a sequel to Massacre Grounds. And yes, you are going down in the mine, and I'm a very big fan of old school dungeon crawls.
Yep.
So Weird Frontiers is going to get an old school dungeon crawl, and yes, you will have stuff coming out of the mind. Plus, you run into this faction play that I brought into a little bit in Port Mirror. But I love faction play where, are there really any truly bad people? It's like, okay, they just have a different story. So I love that kind of play. So miners, especially when somebody's trying to take over all these mines, becomes a big part of the follow-up to Massacre Ground.
Right.
So the Coyoteros, you get a taste of it in Massacre Grounds. You'll get a lot more follow-up of like, okay, they're just kind of murdering killers in Massacre Grounds, but now you find out there's a person behind them and then a person behind them, and
right.
they're scooping up all these mines cheap or just stealing them. So yeah, absolutely, that's a big part of it. The claim jumping, and that's a big part of Superstition Wilderness.
So what is your next dream project, right? So what is it that you're just really like, it's burning to get it made and get it up in front of people, or you want to start testing it? Or
okay, so at North Texas, I tested a Brooklyn foul ball. I almost begged Eric to come and play, but he wouldn't. The
salty tears can find no purchase on that Rocky Burns.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So Eric, Mark and I have talked. Mark has played a little in it because he's volunteered to play in the test play. I was waiting for Mark to come out with the new book. The new book is out, so I got the new rules. Mark's been a wonderful source of content. So that Gangbusters project is probably going to see the light of day next. After that, the sequel to Massacre Grounds, and then it'll be one of the three. Cult of the Winged Skull will either get broken up into 2 books,
right?
Or if there's enough call, it'll be one big book. So I haven't figured out marketing wise. I'm going to have to talk to some people that are a little smarter than I am and figure out what's the best way to bring that back out. It's there. People wanted it. You live and learn. It's still a great book. I have the art all bought for it. So Joey did a fantastic job on the art for that too. He's done the art. And then I have a gnome adventure. I have John Watson's Dungeon Dwelling Creatures is going to end up in with mail setting. I love the fact that you can play as an ogre. Well, you're not yet, but you can play as an orc, or you can, like a future, you can play as an ogre, or all these evil races.
Yep.
So why not? That's super fun. You don't always want to play a good guy.
Right.
Sometimes I like to play the bad guy. I played a good guy my whole life. So that's project. The Siege on Gnome Island is at this point, I think we've agreed it's going to go on his Kickstarter, which I'm happy to do. Help John out. He's been a wonderful source of questions, and I bugged him about stuff. So that project's it's written. It's just got to figure out where it's going to fall on his Kickstarter. He was maybe going to run. Don't get me wrong. I think it was August, maybe. He was talking about running it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, that project is there. I think. And like I said, at some point, the baseball murder baseball X-Crawl baseball will come in where when you yell sniper when the guy falls down, it's actually because he got hit by a sniper.
That makes playing the outfield a much more challenging position.
It's
throwing that out there, right?
At least the catch is wearing armor. Jeez.
Yeah. So
right.
Brendan,
home.
Brendan has been fantastic. He actually reached out to me and through a friend, and he has been wonderful. I kind of ran the whole baseball thing, wanted to run it very old school, very, just good late 1800s, 1900s old school fashioned baseball.
Right.
He gave me some of his inspirations for X-Crawl, and he's like, why don't you do this? And so we've kind of worked it out. But the problem with baseball is you don't realize how big that book gets.
Sure.
You guys, I don't know, in Canada, did you guys grow up playing baseball when you were kids?
Well, first of all, I'm not Canadian, although clearly I have implied that I am. I was
Okay.
American in Canada twice.
Okay.
So I am not a Syropean. I am not, I'm not one of
A Syropean.
That's
Yes.
right. I'm not one of the moose riding Syropeans, as they might be called, or the other term when they would get shitty with me about the country to the south of them, I would always refer to them as the snow Mexicans, and they didn't like that.
Wow.
So,
Ouch.
And they never had a reply to that. So, no,
Because they didn't know what that was. They're like, what the hell is he
there was
talking
always
about?
a moment of lockup, right? They were never quite prepared because I was more than willing to take the hits. But every once in a while, I would just, all right, I'm not taking any more shit from any
Their
of you.
brain just shut down at that point. Like,
and they'd just be like, I can't believe you said such a terrible thing, eh? And I'm like, well, Snow Mexico's got it. So
You sounded like Greg Gillespie there for a second. I was like,
oh, stop. I don't want to be my do it. I can't, right? I could do a Greg Gillespie impression and he would just show up and hit me. So I'm going to just pass.
you just flex a muscle and you just faint. Because,
Yes, you're going to be an NPC in Barrow Maze. I'm like, oh, buddy, ain't my first time. Let's go. So, anyway, that's terrible. No, I think so. So what I would say is first of all, you were one of the best interviews from last year. We had a great time with you on the show.
Thank you.
Had a shit ton of fun with you the last time you were here. I would tell people you should go back and look up the episode we had Matt on last year. I think it's great. I am sorry that like many people, you were brushed aside in the shadow dark juggernaut of the spring. But yours is a common woe and pain we have heard before. So don't take it on the chin, but at the same time, this gives you a chance to regroup. This gives you a chance. We've got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think I say this for all three of us, but gosh, you could do a lot worse. If you fund this, who knows? David Beatty might mail you a kitten. I won't promise that.
David will show up with a box of kittens.
We'll put some air holes in that box, I hope.
No, David and I have an agreement. If it funds and if it gets to the next thing, he actually will get his dream. He will wear my old police uniform and drive around the police car and tell everybody he made wrong choices.
Oh,
wow.
Oh,
nice.
Hold on. Let me back it right now.
Yeah, I went back it again.
Okay, hold on.
Can I back twice?
What's the David Beatty level? I just need to know.
My.
Yeah, you call me out on Facebook. There you go, buddy.
Hold on a second. Back this project. Here we go. David Beatty level. Yes, that's what I want. I want the David Beatty level, and I'm good. And yes, Kickstarter, I understand it's not a store. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Thank you, Pencil Dice. And look at that. I am now a backer. Ouch. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So follow my lead, right? Let's get this one across the.
I already backed it once, but should I back again? Just to see,
when you get all three of us to back you, we like you. If that's that.
Yeah. Hey, and I do want to make something clear. Like Kelsey blowing up. What did she end up raising? 2 million plus. I mean, it was
2.8. I think
that's
2.8.
Phenomenal for the hobby. There's no hard feelings in that at all. It's
Matt, nobody thinks there's hard feelings about this, right? The problem is
not at all. I mean,
I just was like,
think about the poor bastards that literally launched their project the day before. Oh, we're gonna press the button. Here we go. And then all of a sudden the next day, Shadow Dark. And you're just like, well, crap, right? And that's it. And that's really tough. It's really, really tough because if I'm right, Kickstarter gives you like, okay, well, you could go live between here and here. We've approved your project. You're good to go. It's up to you when you hit start and so on and so forth. But it's tough.
Yeah, I had reached out to Michael, one of her, I can't think of his last name, one of her people, and I said, hey,
that's her helper guy, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about, yeah.
And he was very nice. He was like, send me your stuff, but we have a project coming. I'm not sure that we're going to be backing into the project. He's very straightforward, very polite. So I was like, okay, but he did not tell me, oh, by the way,
hold on for a minute.
We're going to wipe you out in about 24 hours, dude. You're done.
That's
You're
right.
done here.
Don't let the tidal wave. Don't
So
let
I
the tidal wave from our gigantic boat swamp your dinghy. We're very sorry about that.
Yeah.
We feel
Thank
terrible.
you for your service, sir. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, Matt. Really, really.
Yeah,
You know,
you're enough.
it's tough. I think there's a great book that I got on Amazon years and years and years ago that I think I wish more people could read. I got to get the name right, so I'm looking it up. But it's essentially what it's like to be a police officer, and
Oh, okay.
the name of it is 400 Things Cops Know, and it's written by a longtime police officer, and it's 400 hard learned nuggets of wisdom from a guy who was a patrol officer, and I bought the book because I've grown up around law enforcement, I've grown up around military, I've known these people all my life. But when I got that book and I sat down and read it, it's 400 Things Cops Know by Adam Plantinga. I'm going to mispronounce his name. Plantinga, Plantinga. But I read it and I just stopped and I thought to myself, "Holy shit!" You know, like I thought I had a glimpse into the world, and I didn't. I was looking through a clouded piece of glass that was dirty on both sides. I just didn't understand. And there's some painful stuff in that. So every time I ever have a chance to talk to somebody who's retired and has made it through with, well, I'll just say a minimal amount of scars, you know, thanks so much. Really.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's tough.
It's that's one of my big draws to Gangbusters is, and Mark, because I wrote Gangbusters as like you were this baseball team that was basically trying to get taken over by this small time mobster, and I read it. Wow, please use my English. I wrote it thinking that I wanted to do it before the Five Families take over in New York.
Yeah.
So I wanted it like 1899, 1900, because it's just like the gangs of New York. I mean, it's really a cool setting. So Brooklyn, especially, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's five. What cool city could you be in? It has 5 horse racing tracks
Right.
in it. Like Brooklyn in 1899 has 5 horse racing tracks
Right.
in Brooklyn.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, so that's how corrupt everything's going on. So, but one of the things Mark was like, "Hey, you were a cop. Why are you not writing the police part of this? Like, write it so you can play as a police detective." And I was just like, yeah. And that's one of the draws to Gangbusters. It's a BX system. I played it my whole life. I know what it was about. So it's really, and then he's got so many good plans now that he's teamed up with Wizard Tower Games. Don and I can't think of the other gentleman's name, but they're really just fueling his fire. So I'm really excited about him doing well.
The summer that Gangbusters came out, I had to choose between Gangbusters and the other game that came out at the same time, and I can't remember what it was. And I bought Gangbusters and loved it, but I couldn't get any of my friends to play. I couldn't get any of my other friends interested in it, and so on. And so, you know, I'm a guy that watched all the old Elliot Ness reruns. I'm a guy that went to go see The Untouchables in the opening night in the theater. You know, I'm the guy that watched The Highwaymen on Netflix every day for a week. And right now, if you went back to my Netflix account and you brought The Highwaymen up, you know, the scene that is always ready to go is Kevin Costner going shopping before they go out on the road, right? I'm like, I want the Colt Monitor too, buddy. I want the Colt Monitor too. But
yeah, it's a fun, you know, speaking of that, and I'm going to give, can I give kind of my schoolboy crush for Northwest?
wow. Whoa.
Well, sir, you know,
Welcome to
we
Matt's
haven't been properly introduced yet, but go ahead.
So I'm sitting at breakfast by myself because Greg is grumpy because he didn't win.
Three Castles.
Greg
Good Lord, that guy is so competitive. He's only won 2 already. Jesus, give somebody else a chance.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do.
Sorry.
I gotta be sure.
Holy
if you haven't realized it, I love to throw the grenade in the room. But so I'm sitting at breakfast by myself after being shunned by Greg.
As we all are.
And Merle Rasmussen comes in and sits down next to me. At the table across from me. And Merle wrote, the James Bond Q book. And that was like my favorite, Top Secret. And then it turned into James Bond. And so that was one of my favorite books because it had the cool cars, it had the cool guns, it had everything. And so he sits down and I'm like, I don't know him. And sometimes these guys don't want to be bothered. And I get that. And, you know, they don't want to fanboy out. So I'm just kind of sitting there minding my own business. And then I can't remember the other gentleman that walks down next to him, but then they start talking about scouting. I've been a scoutmaster for like 15 years. So then I'm like, okay, that's my in. I won't talk about, gush over being
Hold on, I have to
RPG
show
guy.
this because it's important, right? So there you go.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, very nice. Yeah, so we did Philmont Cavalcade with my troop. That was kind of the end of the boys kind of going out. We did the 10 days across the top of New Mexico. That was a great Philmont's. If you ever get to go, it's just absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, so so Merle, I'm trying not to bother him, but then I really want to. So I do, and then I butt in about the scouting thing, and then he was like, "Yeah, by the way, I'm Merle Rasmussen. I wrote this." And I was like, "I know exactly who you are." And then that's right. I was like a little missile going on.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, so it was like Alan Hammock. I never got to actually talk to.
Good for you. Thank goodness. That old man wore the pants off you. My God.
Oh, please stop.
I say that I'm about to worship at the feet of Alan in about 4 weeks when I go to EggCons. So, Alan's one of the great guys in gaming. He absolutely is.
But if you guys go to North Texas, you will get to meet all these people. They are super nice. They are always more than happy to sit down and talk with you. But yeah, maybe don't ambush them at breakfast like I did. Maybe.
Well, most of the time they're okay. They're okay to eat with. One of the things that Gary and I and Doug used to always talk about was that we wanted a con where these guys were accessible. We don't have VIP badges. We don't have VIG stuff. We don't have a green room. I mean, when Jim first came to the con, he was upset because there was no green room for him. And this man is used to the green room. He likes to go in there and have a cocktail.
No yellow
sandwiches
M&Ms in a bowl. You're trying to say.
Yeah, he was really upset. He's like, "Well, I don't understand. I'm eating with just the regular people here." We said, "Oh yeah, the regular people." But no, he got to where he liked it. No, but we try to have no pretensions. Everybody just hangs out. There's no separate con. There's no con within a con. I know you've been to those cons where there's a con, but there's con.
I think the important thing is that you guys just said we're not going to invite the shitty people. And I mean that goes a long way the policies go, it's pretty simple and it's pretty easy, right? It eliminates a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I didn't meet. So I don't think I've ever met a shitty person.
I appreciate it.
I don't think I've ever met a shitty person there. No, really. I mean, it's at. And Gary, if you're listening, I see you in the chat. I owe you a. What did we give you? It wasn't a Wolverine, a Badger.
Oh,
I have it, and I forgot to give it to you. It ended up.
Oh, he doesn't have it. Yeah, he doesn't need it. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. He needs more badges.
He needs more badges. I had it, and it ended up my suitcase.
Just brought up the whole marriage pass thing, and that's unseemly as well.
Yeah. He was just telling me the other day, I was on the phone with him. He said, I didn't get enough badgers. And I was like, yeah, I noticed that. You really needed some more. So definitely, more badgers.
I look forward to the badgers festooning, Gary, like just a blanket of warm badgers. Right?
Like a badger fur coat.
Perhaps
you can wear that like
a muckluck hat with the badger flaps and the badger, yeah.
See, I think Gary.
He has like a pimp coat that goes down to his legs. It's all badger fur. It's got little badger
heads.
He's
got to have the fedora with the feather, but instead of a feather,
if you didn't know this, in
tail.
Scotland, when you wear a kilt, the small pouch in front of you is called the sporran, and so there may be people that know what that is, right? So traditionally in Scotland, the sporran is made out of a badger, which is why there's a euphemism for oral sex. In Scotland called gnawing at the badger. And so I don't know if Gary's introduced anybody in his family to this yet, but we should perhaps stop there, right? Just saying.
Folks, it's after 9. We are now the plus.
I'm about to say in Scotland right now, this whole video just took a big shot up.
Them on board. Yes.
Absolutely.
But they'll never understand the lack of our brogue. They'll be like,
yeah. So Matt, thank you for coming on tonight. Do you want to stick around for shenanigans in the second hour, or?
Oh, I would love to sit around for shenanigans.
Brace yourself because it's been a banner week.
Well, we've got shenanigans. We have shenanigans.
Oh my God, do we have shenanigans? Some of them we can't talk about.
First of all, I want to throw something. let me throw something out there first. This is a special announcement, special personal kick-ass
wait,
announcement here.
please,
and
folks,
you guys
go
are
back Matt's project.
You guys are
you're pregnant?
No, not this
Just
time.
check.
That
I was
last
worried.
time.
I am your
No,
once a week works now.
no, we're okay. I figured out how to
Okay.
use the birth control finally. So we talked to Heidi and Eric a few weeks ago about EggCon, and I said I would love to go, and I made a reservation, and I was just kind of fiddle farting around. Well, folks, I'm going, and not only am I going to go, but Zach Glazer's going with me.
Are we going to get live
Yes.
from the road?
We are going to road trip it. It will be broadcast on the North Texas RPG Con page. It's going to be getting back to the old days when Zach and I were in the giant car and we were stopping and getting pork loins and we were doing getting crazy.
I mean,
it's going to be
old
another Zach.
Are you going to get along the way?
No,
I can fit a lot.
You're going to stop at every electronics
I'm driving a Telluride, man,
depot and fill up the hatchback.
I'm driving a Telluride. We could fit probably 15 of those babies in the back. We put the seats down. It's gonna be great. So yeah,
it's a trash.
It's gonna be like the Ghostbusters mobile.
My God.
With old Commodore 64.
I'd like to have a shout out to my booth buddy Jen Glazer, who suggested to Zach that he call me and ask if he could go on my trip with me. And it turned out that my wife had told me she didn't want me to go by myself. I don't think she trusts me anymore. Like I'm going to pick up an 18-year-old hitchhiker this time. It can't happen twice. It's not going to happen.
Mike, it can't happen once. I'm just going to.
I was going to say it has to happen.
Well, I know that now. Now I know that after I woke up with no wallet. Yes, I know that now.
A middle-aged man from Texas driving to Wisconsin, and lo and behold, there was a homely hitchhiker.
I've done it by myself before. But last year I went with Gary. I went with last year. I went with Guppy last year from GaryCon. And so Zach's back in the passenger seat. It's going to be awesome. We're going to get to see our buddies Talanian and Hammock and Barsh and all those guys. We're going to have live broadcast. It's going to be great.
Stopping at my house on the way. This will be even better, right? Because you have to go past my house to get there.
Is there pork loin there? Then we may have to stop this pork loin. I have the list. I've already got our pork loin recipe thing figured. I've already got pork loin stops figured out. So that's
some
how
people
organized
use waypoints and how to get there faster or economy of fuel. But no, Mike is, how can I clog my arteries fast enough with pork-related products?
How many pork loin
Yea,
places can
verily, I wish
one?
to do no push-ups or any strenuous exercise. Just turn the air conditioning up to cover the meat sweats.
Well, he's got to lift the pork loin, put it down, lift the pork loin, put it down.
These half-pound curls are delicious. I have to continue doing them.
Time for an onion ring. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be so. Anyway.
This
that's in a month. That's where I'll be out.
An unnamed Ozempic.
So Wednesday night, that Wednesday night, the 24th, I believe, we will actually be in Madison because we're gonna stop and see Alex Kamer, our buddy Alex, before we head down to EggCon on Thursday. So Wednesday night, I will be doing the show from somewhere in Madison, Wisconsin, 4 weeks from now. So anyway, that's the big news. I'm really excited. Can't wait for this trip. It's going to be great. So anyway, that's just my personal announcement. We will have more updates on the North Texas page as it gets closer. And we maybe we'll get a sponsor for the trip. I mean, who knows? We may have a sponsor.
Sponsored by Tandy Computers.
Old crappy computers.
Do you have a large pile of old computers in a barn? We have a man who would like to rummage through.
We have a man that would like to take off his clothes and roll around in them.
We need to start saying Jen's name properly. The long-suffering Jen Glazer.
Don't buy me a coffee. Buy me a
she knew what she was getting into. She knew what she was getting into. You know, she paid her ticket.
But her ticket didn't necessarily include 2,000 pounds of old Heathkit computers. I'm just throwing that out there. So let's talk about current events. There's a lot of things going on. Some things we won't discuss because I don't think we can discuss them, but there are other things that we absolutely must discuss.
Eric had a great. You posted an interesting story.
I have no idea.
And
Oh my
I
God!
know.
come on.
I
The
posted a
diamond-
couple.
You were
got
The
banned
diamond
today.
story. The diamond story. The diamond
Oh,
story.
the
That's a great
Diamond
tale,
Comics.
man.
The post bankruptcy Diamond, not paying for what it received, and I don't get that. By the way, your new entity.
It's not even diamond anymore. It's a supposedly a new entity, and they're still not paying their their bills.
I'm sorry. Wait.
I mean,
this
I
is
don't
my
get it.
shocked face.
Are you telling me that the distribution of comic books and related material is not effective and not? I mean, I know there's profit in it, but somebody's making money somewhere.
Somebody's screwing
So
up is what's happening.
Let's rewind, right? So number one, there's multiple pieces. We've talked about this before on the show.
Yep.
That there's Diamond Comics, there's Alliance Game Distributors. That these were two very separate businesses. They were overall owned by an umbrella entity, Diamond, which had its roots in Diamond Comics, which is what Steve Jeppy and his family then owned and ran. So the bankruptcy broke all these into different pieces and so on and so forth. However, this notion that a new business entity created from the bankruptcy is going to pay off the debts, unless there were contracts, and Ty, of course, could chime in and talk to this. But
what's going to happen? Bankruptcy.
But I just don't buy that, right? I on the face of it, I think it's a big nothing burger because it just wants. It's just people. I think if you believe that the new entity of Diamond was going to cover the debts of the old entity,
But that's not that was in the article that we read. It was new material was not being paid for by the new Diamond.
Right.
So
they already started. Yeah, they're starting off.
They're not talking about old debt. They're talking about new debt.
Burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice.
Yeah.
So does Marvel DC they have their own distribution
that
now,
really
right?
crippled Diamond is that Marvel and DC both went separate ways to handle distribution. Marvel going through a book trade, which everybody was prepared for it to be an imminent disaster, but it seems to have gone okay. DC, I mean, I go to a comic book shop and I buy like one comic every other week. I'm not the target audience anymore. So I see all the new Marvel titles roll in. I see all the DC titles roll in. I see all the independents. And I don't hear the comic book shop staff saying, curse you, Marvel, for going outside of Diamond, or curse you, DC. I don't hear any of that. And I've got enough of a finger on the pulse of retailers that I don't hear that either. And that's fine. I think it's interesting. I want to segue away from Diamond because I think there's more to come for Diamond, and we should let's save our powder for something else. But let me segue into an interesting observation. So this week on what I would call gaming Twitter, one of the most interesting things I saw was a comparison between the cover artwork for Watsy's new novel, Ravenloft novel, and an old Ravenloft illustration. And they were like, this is your parents' Ravenloft, and it was scary and evocative and so on. And this is your Ravenloft, and the new cover is terrible. It's just it is ludicrous. But what amuses me is my local Barnes and Noble has decided to put the novel in the gaming section, and they still haven't sold it, right? And it's terrible artwork. It's absolutely terrible artwork. I think it does nothing for the property. I don't think it does anything for selling something. I want artwork that's gonna cause me to be excited. I want artwork that the Murderbot series has been adapted.
Oh yeah. Oh, Eric, can you pull this up? Show it. We can't even properly describe it.
I think I found it. Hold on.
Yeah. So
it's called Air of Strahd, right?
Strahd or the Raven. There's a Van Richten.
While he's bringing it up,
they're both terrible. Air of Strahd's terrible too.
You guys realize that Dragonlance did the same thing. Larry Elmore, they decided not to use a wonderful artist and beautiful covers for decades, and they get this crappy AI cover. And I'm a huge fan of both Hickman and Weiss. I love their books. Total fanboy. But that last
Yeah,
cover,
pull
hold
up
on, I gotta get
Aerostrod.
first. Hold on.
H-E-I-R.
Hold on, here it comes.
I mean, this
Okay,
one
they're both
No,
they're both
that's
awful.
not it. That's
that's pretty bad.
No, it's Aerostrod. No, it's
That's pretty
Aerostrod. Pull up
bad.
Aerostrod. It is ludicrous beyond all
All right,
ludicrous.
hold on. I put in a search for new cover.
oh
Ravenloft.
god.
Just put Ravenloft
Stop, you're hurting
Aerostrod.
me.
Here, I'll send you. It's on Emerald.
It's terrible.
Emerald did a whole.
Take
Ravenloft.
By the way, the comments on Emerald.
God. Sorry.
The comments on
It reminds
Emerald
me
are
of
hilarious,
Baldur's
by the
Gate
way.
3 cover.
Take this off
It's
the screen.
bad. Oh.
See, I found a bad cover. You just didn't like the bad.
That's bad, but no, that's just bad. This one
Eric,
is.
take
I'm
that
getting it.
It's
down.
beyond
I'm
bad.
getting. Hold on.
Take that one down.
We're going up. See, everybody's like, what can be worse than this? I don't understand what Mike's saying. Well,
I'm good.
just chill.
Ravenloft.
Chill for a minute.
Did you ever say to yourself, what would
accents?
happen if we crossed Ravenloft with My Little Pony and the cast of Rent?
Oh God.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Yes.
Can you squeeze
Yes.
it in there so we can look at
Make
the
that large.
detail? Yeah, in big it. Oh my God.
Yes.
It's so
yes.
bad.
We've got all the approved. and
What is
accepted.
going on in this stupid ass?
so is
What is going on here? Look at the girl on the left.
She's in Ravenloft. Why are you smiling?
She's in Ravenloft and she's smiling.
so?
Why are you smiling in Ravenloft?
Is that a Kenku?
Nobody smiles in Ravenloft.
Is that a Kenku down in
I
the corner
feel
there?
that all of this
Below the
is
girl?
just checked off a series of a list, and I don't want to ever know what the list is. We have
What's Strahd doing? He has a card in his hand and a glass of wine. What is he doing? Is he got a dinner party? Is he playing poker? The dinner is he? What is going on here?
I feel like
The chick
we
is
stumbled
the dumbest.
into.
She's the worst.
I feel
Look-
like
look-
we
look at
stumbled
that. Look.
into.
Yeah, the Kenku is not a. It looks more like a.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's not a.
Hi, I'm going
I got a
I'm going to
question. How is she
Ravenloft.
holding that
Woo!
vial in her hand with her fingers open?
It's with her pinky and her thumb
Oh,
because that's how
God.
you hold things, Eric.
All right, hold on.
This is like
But look how happy she is. We're going
This
to
is like
Ravenloft.
All right,
Yahoo!
why is there a
Party.
backpack?
No.
What
Uh,
the?
It's like they had to check off every
Do we
single
have-
race in
do we have a drow with
Realms.
a
Okay.
familiar? Yes.
Dark
Do we have
elf.
a tiefling? Yes. Do we have a guy on fire with a big staff? Yes. Do we have a bird? Yes. Do we have a happy pixie? Yes. Do we have a vampire with a goblin
What are we
of blood,
mixing?
a sneering
We're
look,
missing
and what
something.
appears to be the ace of spades? Yes. And
Oh.
best of all, if you look at the card, that's actually the symbol, partially the symbol. I just realized that that's a violation of Workshop's IP because that's the Tanith first and only symbol from Black Library, and they've put it on a card. Holy shit. I'm going to send a note to GW's IP people.
Yeah.
Did a human draw this?
Well,
Is this
look
AI
at
or
the
human?
wine
I
goblet,
don't know.
All right, or blood goblet, whatever it is.
Right.
That's not the way fluid flows. Not like splotching.
I don't need to know about your fluid expertise, Eric.
Listen, it could look like raspberry jam, but that's not what we got here.
What is going on
There's
in this
so much going on in
picture?
this picture and all of it.
I mean, there's so many things wrong. There's
When's
so
the
many
last time
things
you
wrong
adventure?
here.
You went. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is like Rick and Morty. Bird person, let's go fight a vampire. I would love to fight a vampire. And she's probably either the clone of Beth or Beth. We don't know which. That's it. They decided to do Rick and Morty.
All right,
Hey, back out on the picture. I can look. It is.
No, wait.
So Spawn is right.
Is this bird
No, Spawn
one-handed?
is right here.
Well, and best of all is that the ball
no-
of energy is not centered on its clawed
No.
paw.
Well, it
Paw.
has a claw. The other, there's a claw on the other side, but there's nothing here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We're back out. Back out.
Spawn's right. Look, what Spawn says right. If these PCs walk into a village and the locals are breaking out torches and pitchforks, these guys die in the first effing encounter. If I'm the DM, they don't make it out of the first encounter with their fancy little goo gods and their gigas and whatever they're flashing around here. They roll in with their shirtless, you know. I mean, the dude's got the dude in the middle is shirtless. He's shirtless.
If you look at the woman on the
He's
far left,
shirtless.
this is the Julie Brown song "Come to Life." Because I'm a blonde, BLOND. I got nothing. All right, take this off screen. Take this off.
Why
screen.
is she so happy? Why is she happy?
Wouldn't you be happy if you were trapped in the dark realm of Ravenloft, soon to be vampires?
I can't imagine anything happier.
I'm here with Bird Person. I'm here with the hot Typhling.
Why is there
I'm here with the man with the fiery staff, which I guess he didn't get the ointment or the cure light wounds for. And then I guess, you know, and the drow with the dragon familiar / pet / it's not walking.
Don't tell me. I'm gonna guess this. How much do you want to lay down money that the Kinku and the dragon thing have a friendly yet adversarial relationship?
That goes back to Doc Savage with Ham and Monk, and I refuse to stoop that low. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
They only wish they were Ham and Monk.
So
they can't even
we have another great thing to talk about tonight. Should we talk about what we were chatting about earlier before the show? About
is this have anything to do with something
called
Giant
we
Lands?
Should discuss Giant Lands. And perhaps
please let us discuss Giant Lands.
It's not often that we see a game transform itself in some amazing ways where they don't just try to make up for what we'll call past mistakes, but they veer into territory uncharted in RPGs where they explicitly lay out some things that no matter what criticisms you may wish to level, I've never seen a game that goes so far to stake out this kind of territory. So hats off to them. They've really done something particularly special. Do we want to bring up the screen captures, Eric?
Oh, thank God I screen captured because I am now blocked.
Well, there we go.
Well, not only that, no, he's taken down posts. He had a post about a year ago. I am not kidding you. He had a post about how heroic a real life hero, the owner of TSR, was. I'm not going to mention his name.
Not his name.
How he was a real
say
life
it 3
hero.
times, he appears, much like Beetlejuice.
He's a real life hero because he brought TSR back. So 1 year ago he's saying this. Now he's suddenly saying, I stand against all white nationalists and anybody. Wait, all right. The guy you were friends with who was a hero.
Let's go back and just sort of let's talk about what we'll call the permutations around Giant Lands.
Yes.
So Giant Lands, if you didn't know it, was an RPG product from, what was the name of the company?
Wonderfilled.
Wonderfilled. Much like a jelly donut, it was Wonderfilled. And so Giant Lands, before it was published, there was in fact a playtest version of Giant Lands. And I believe that we can sum up the playtest version by saying that there was regrettable content in the playtest. And
well, Jim, so we tried to roll up a character on one show. Remember that we had Skeeter. Skeeter tried to run it for Eric and I.
Or did you try to save this for a minute or two? We gotta ease our way into it.
All right,
you're going straight for the money shot, buddy, and I gotta just tell you right now.
He doesn't believe in build up. He went straight in.
Eric's trying to give you the whole show for $1, folks, and So Giant Lands had what we'll call regrettable racial stereotypes in some of its pre-test materials. And there was a great deal of, we'll call them recriminations. There was a great deal of discussion about this wasn't true, but multiple people got copies of it. There was no question that this was a version that was sent out to play testers. And you know, it probably would have appealed to people like, can I say M.A.R. Barker? Are we still saying that at this point? Or
I think we're okay with him. He can't sue us. He's not alone. He's no longer among us. So yeah.
And if you don't know M.A.R. Barker's full history, internet awaits you. Good luck, my friends. So anyway, Giant Lands was perhaps hoisted on its own petard because not only did the pretest version come out, but the pretest version gained what we'll call notoriety.
Well, you're. I think you're getting Star Frontier's new Genesis
Oh, am I?
mixed.
Oh,
in
yeah,
with-
yeah.
yeah.
You're
Okay.
gonna start.
So-
Yeah,
They're
so-
different.
This
Oh,
had
I'm
other
sorry.
issues,
Please
Jim. The
elaborate.
issues with this were
I apologize.
it was
I
big-
got.
no, that's okay. That's okay. This was so. This is a virtually unplayable.
No, it
game.
is
And the problem
unplayable.
was
This is
that-
this is fatal level
yeah.
unplayable.
Well, yeah. So Jim Ward, the guy that did the Deinhardt and the guys who did Wonderfield, they wanted a big name, so they got Jim Ward to write it. They got Larry Elmore to do the cover, and they got Jeff D to do some more. I mean, they got a bunch of old school guys to do it, and they pegged this, Eric, as an OSR old school game. And at least one of my friends, maybe two, I can't remember, at least one bought it because he thought, well, this Jim Ward wrote this and it's got an Elmore cover. It's got to be old school. It is not old school. It is absolutely not old school. It's not even new school. It's no school. It doesn't work. So the only person that ever ran this game was Jim Ward. He ran it at cons. He had to because he wrote it and he needed the money. As we all know, Jim, had some issues at the end of his life and was just basically doing a lot of stuff for money. This game included a rule that if you wore a mask at the table, you got extra experience points. So unfortunately, we were treated to the sight of poor Jim Ward wearing a mask running this game at conventions. It was the most awful thing ever. And it wasn't a playable game. I can only assume that when Jim ran it, he house ruled the hell out of it. Because it was absolutely, we read through the rules. We couldn't figure out how to roll up characters. We couldn't figure out how to gameplay. The whole thing is a mess. The background of the game, Giantlands, is a mess. The world's a mess. Everything in there's a mess, Eric.
I mean,
everything that we saw.
Rules wise, there were charts that had bonuses from like 1 through 5, but then another chart for your statistics was percentiles as a bonus. And then a third chart was a combination of the two. And you were like, it almost was like Jim went into his file cabinet and said, what haven't I used yet? Let me pull it out for this game.
Absolutely. And so the abilities, your ability, so usually, for instance, D&D, you have ability from 3 to 18, which is a pretty small, and you usually, okay, if you have a 3, you're not very strong. 18, you're really strong. This set had a stretch from 1 to 100. So you could have a strength of 1 and a wisdom of 100, which I mean, I guess you could play the character, but I mean, it didn't make any sense. There was no rhyme or reason to how you rolled up a character. You just rolled a die 100. It was 1 through 100. You could have 4 abilities as a 10 and then 1 as a 90. I mean, so I guess, it didn't have a suitable range of characteristics. There was no range in there. At least with D&D, you're going to hit what? Your numbers in D&D you're going to hit the most are 9 through 12, right? So most of your characters are going to have an average ability and whatever, because that's the numbers. 3 6-sided die, you're going to get 9 through 12. What do you get with a die 100? There's no range. There's 0 range. You're not going to get 50 a lot. You're going to get whatever you roll. It's going to be 1 through 100. And it doesn't make, so that character creation made no sense. The whole game made no sense. And the worst part was Deinhardt pretended like he was selling it like hotcakes for about a year or so. Oh my gosh, it's
We're selling out.
like
We're going to have
crazy.
to do a new print run.
And he even used that to sell it, the old print. When he said, you better buy the old print whenever you can, because once it's gone, and we're going to have to come up with a new print run. Then we find out maybe that's not true.
Today, in his video, he said, I haven't made a sale in 2 years. So it's like, and like I pointed out, if you are not making a sale over 2 years, the problem isn't your audience. The problem is you. They call it a fantasy heartbreaker for a reason. We know it's your child. We know you birthed it, but it might not be viable. And this project is not viable.
I feel sorry for Jim Ward because the last few years of his life, he was forced to, I say forced, but he ran this game at conventions. When he, I know, but he should have been running Gamma World or Metamorph South or one of the games he's known for. He shouldn't have had to run this mess at conventions just to make a few sales for Deinhardt. I'm sure. And look, Stephen Deinhardt paid him. He got paid for his work. But this is not Jim's best work. I would be surprised. Like Eric said, I don't even know if he wrote this really, if it's just an amalgamation of five sets of rules he had in a file cabinet.
7-year-old Deinhardt.
So let's get to recent events, right? Let's come up to some recent events and talk to that. So he's made the principals have made a series of posts which are fascinating to me because I think there's some territory that we should all agree that we don't necessarily stake out. And now, Eric, where's your money shot?
All right, well,
and the thing is, this falls under unforced error, yes. Jim. Nobody was clamoring. Deinhardt and Wonderfield, please, we haven't heard from you in a while. Why don't you make some posts about
people an idea of what we're doing creatively with our game?
No, nobody was saying this. Nobody.
At least the world of Cinnabar sold copies. Can I just point that out? But Cinnabar actually sold copies.
All right. Why is it not opening? Now I closed it. Now.
It's a comment so unseemly, your computer doesn't even want to share it again.
Yeah, I know.
The computer said, I already shared it once tonight.
I need some time to recover before I share that again. I'm not doing it.
Oh, God damn it.
I can't share it again, Eric. Don't make me
share it again. We have
there's Eric.
The Revolutionary War veteran. I love that Eric and Matt are like yin and yang, right? Matt was a police officer and has his drag coefficient down to a 0. And Eric, on the other hand,
I have a program that's not cooperating.
Look at my luscious lady locks as they flow around me. A corona of hair.
Well, I mean, Matt looks like he could jump back in the squad car tomorrow and go on patrol. Eric looks like that.
Wait.
He's the guy who's in the 70s.
In the front of the car.
He's the cop.
Eric looks like the guy that's going to be in the back of the car.
Well, hey. All right,
Eric looks like the cop that's having a donut in the corner that's taking.
Hey, what's up? Here we go.
There we go.
Close it and open it. All right.
So, what is the background? What is the first?
Wow.
Yes, please.
Yes, explain the background.
Okay. Well, all right. So he also made a post today that in giant lands there are no races, so there's no white people. Okay, although all the artwork initially was white people, but there's no white people in giant lands. It's all one big tribe. And he goes, and that's why I chose species, and Jim did my bidding. I was his boss.
Yeah, he was very, very, very adamant that Jim did what I told him to do. And I told him to, way to treat a game.
I didn't like hearing it, yes, boss, because he was and always will be someone I look up to. But he then got into arguments with people on the interwebs. And,
you'll win that for sure, buddy.
And decided that this is the hill he's going to die on. And you will be right out of existence. Deinhardt is someone who says his ancestors fought for George Washington, with George Washington, but we're here before George Washington, and he's an immigrant of recent times. It was very, I don't want to say incoherent, but Rachel says it was conflictual. There's a lot of discrepancy, including his revision of history as to what new TSR was for.
I would say he was loaded, but he didn't look loaded at all.
Like so I'm assuming that this quote, which was sent to me, was him arguing with somebody about the no white people, and his response was, "We'll eliminate your seed from the earth."
So maybe this.
Oh, that always works. That's a great retort.
I'm not exactly sure that I had racist eliminationist rhetoric on my bingo card for gaming this week.
I certainly
I had a lot of stuff on my bingo card I'd already checked off since the last time we had this show, but that was definitely not. I mean, Bingo.
But unforced error, because nobody was asking him for his opinion on anything except please go away from gaming because your game was so terrible we never want to see it again. That's all anybody ever asked of Deinhardt and Wonderfield, and he has to come back with this crazy man rant, and I mean almost to the point where if I didn't think he was sincere, but I thought he was sincere. If I didn't think he was sincere, I would think this is a publicity
and here's
ploy.
the thing. I mean,
to get
he's
people to
been
pay
pushing
attention.
this supplement, this adventure, the Long Road or something like that, for years. That Jim was almost finished with it when he passed. He was taking pre-orders for it, but it has never ever shipped. So
he's glomming off the name of Jim Ward to sell his unsellable product.
I have a unique take.
I am ready.
This
Matt
guy,
off the top of the ropes. Go, Matt.
This guy watched Last of the Mohican, and he saw the scene where the guy cuts the guy's heart out, holds it up, and says, "I'm going to wipe your seed from the planet," or something to that effect. So this guy is a movie
plagiarizing,
and so he took that straight out of Last Mohican.
He thinks he's Hollywood.
Yeah, so I mean that scene that he kind of created is exactly out of the Last of the Mohican.
He and his son run a bunch of how many theme parks have two? Not a lot.
But they were only they were designed
because he was gonna open a big theme park in Lake Geneva based on his Giantlands game. And he pimped this for quite a while. That he was going to run this he's going to have this big Giantlands. He was going to buy property in Lake Geneva, because that's really cheap, Jim. Lake Geneva is just a nowhere town. You could just buy property, right and left. He was going to buy this property there, and he's going to build this Giantlands theme park based on this super popular game he wrote that nobody plays or knows about. And so they were going to swarm to this theme park.
I don't even do drugs, and I'm not high enough for this week's episode. I'm going to need to start power drinking at the end of the first hour just to catch up to even get close enough to be drunk enough for this conversation.
What makes it more interesting is that he is currently employed as an assistant professor at a college in Florida.
This is the most Florida man story of the week.
He teaches game design.
He's Florida man this week. He is this week's Florida man.
Who's the more successful professor? Greg Gillespie and his 4 mega dungeons rule book,
but we've already heard the salty Greg story this morning, and I kind of enjoy that.
But only 2 times.
And then we have this guy I'm a game designer too. Here's my game that no one has ever heard of or buys. It's called Giantlands. It has a Larry Elmore cover though, and I got Jim Ward's. Does he or does he not have Ernie?
Ernie. I think Ernie's in there too.
Did he list him as Gary Gygax Jr.?
He was always Gary Gygax Jr. with Deinhardt.
Yeah, because that adds more gravitas to the project than which by the way, Ernie never went by Gary Gygax Jr. Everybody knows Ernie knows that.
So let's put this behind us because frankly, I'm good.
But here's the point. Here's the great part, Jim. This just started today, right, Eric, or yesterday? We may have a whole week of happy fun with him posting more great quotes about wiping the seed from the earth.
By the way, just to say before we step away, Deinhardt was the director, writer. Again, tells you he thinks he's in Hollywood. James Ward was writer, designer. Ernie Gary Gygax Jr. was creative supervisor, and Larry Elmore was cover artist. So that's your creative team.
He has a bunch of names on there. People look. Larry Elmore did a cover for money. Ernie, I'm sorry, I love Ernie, but I doubt he had very much input at all in this.
I just think the less we say, let's just stop. Because I feel like at this point we are simply...
you got me all riled up, and now you were trying to rein me in.
This is the problem. Back. I feel sad.
Back.
I feel sad for Ernie. I feel sad for Jim Ward. I'm sorry that this abortive train wreck is continuing to percolate around like there. I'm happy that 30 years later we have the new version of Cinnabar, and I am happy that a new generation has something to cherish and loathe the way we all cherished and loathed Cinnabar. So like, I think what's so great about this is it has a place on the lowest bookshelf of hell for, what did we have to put next to Cinnabar? Well, here we go. We've got Giant Lands. And if I was operating the store the way I was 34 odd years ago, 35, no, longer than that. If I was still in the store and the same guy came up to me and was like, "Hi, I heard about Giant Lands. I was wondering if you're going to carry it." I would say no, but I can mail order. I can get a copy for you at a discount because we will never stock it. And I do the same dance with him that I did with Cinnabar, and the same thing would happen, right? He would prepay, he would get his discount, he would come bet the copy, he would go away, and the next day he would come back and go, "I would like a refund." And I would say, "You were sold this, so the understanding you couldn't return it." And he would say the same thing he said about Cinnabar. "This is terrible." And I would say, "You're right. I'm sorry. We're done."
But one last story and then we're done. I had a friend who bought this because Jim Ward's name was on it and they're on the cover. He heard about it online. He's not a big game guy, but he heard about it. He was so proud of himself. He bought it and told me, "I got the new OSR game Giant Lands." I said, "Dude, open it and read it." He opened it. He read it. He said, "Do you want it?" I was like, "No, I don't want it." He goes, "This is the worst thing ever. I can't. I was tricked. I thought this is going to be an OSR game. This is awful." I said, "Dude, you should have talked to me before you bought it." But he was so disappointed. And that I'm sure a lot of the people that bought it were the same way. They bought it, they opened it up, they tried to read or play it.
I love that. I can look and see that on one of the Facebook groups, somebody tried to sell a copy for $50 on June 9th, and there was crickets. Nobody bid on it. Nobody wanted it. Nobody had an interest in it.
I wouldn't take a free copy. He said, "I'll send it to you." I said, "I don't want it in my house." No. He goes, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with it." I said, he goes, "Can I sell it?" I go, "To who? Nobody's going to buy that." So I don't know what he did with it. It's probably still sitting on a shelf somewhere in his house.
Well, he's going to be an egg cunt. So, I mean, look, you've got that going for you. You get to have the entire experience.
Yeah, make him sign it.
Like I look forward to it.
Well, maybe I should have him send it to me, and we could do a midnight auction bid on it. So maybe I do need to have it.
I got a copy.
Think about it. So we'll see. Oh, that's right. You got your copy. You got your played copy.
Dude,
play
yeah.
it, Eric. Skeeter and I tried to play it. We tried.
That was a horrible thing.
Character creation was a monstrous issue. I mean, that was the worst character creation ever.
Have you seen this sort of weird cartoon cover for Giant Lands that's on their page from May 15th?
No.
Oh, it's an adventure module called The Broken Road.
Oh, that I've seen, but I haven't seen the cover.
Right. Yeah. That's the that's the one that Jim Ward Is that the one that Jim Ward supposedly wrote before he died, Eric?
Jim almost finished it.
Almost finished it, right. And that was The Broken Road.
And
of course,
I better save that because I'm sure we'll be needing this. I'll be sure we'll be needing this at some point.
Well, it's just disappointing. You're right, Jim. It's just disappointing. It's just disappointing and frustrating and sad because it's another person glomming off. Look, a lot of these old game guys. Let's just say they didn't have insurance. They didn't have. I mean, a lot of them like let's take Alan Hammock. Alan Hammock got out of the game industry in the early '80s. He had an entire career. Went to college. Had an entire career. Now he's living comfortably. He's not rich, but he's got a pension. He's got all this stuff. He's got the adoration of fans. But he did it right because, look, we have to say this. The game industry does not take care of you if you're a game designer. It absolutely does not.
I feel like for North Texas, I'm going to have to run, like in 5 or 10 years, I'm going to have to run an entire tournament of the worst games ever published. It's going to be like it's not a greatest hits list. It's going to be a worst hits list. And I'm going to have you have to buy seats and you have to play through all 5 of them. And then you get a perseverance trophy, right? You don't actually win first place as a team. No, you've managed to get through the worst that the RPG industry has had to offer over the last 60 years. It'll be great. It'll be awesome. Okay. So
Gary, Jim's going to call you about something. Tell him no.
I gotta talk to something real quick, which is I have a good friend of mine who will probably be deceased in another week or two. He has stage 4 glioblastoma, and is unable to talk. He can maybe manage single words, I think is my understanding of it. He lost his sight. It's pretty bad, and it came on pretty fast. But he, like all of us, are collectors, right? He has several collections. And Mike and I have talked about this. I think one of the things that I'm going to start doing is that at every show that I start coming to as an auctioneer, I'm going to start doing a seminar on why you need to get your shit together about your collections and why you need to get your shit together in case something happens to you. Because
Jim, I will happily join you in those seminars because I have a lot of, you know me, I have a lot of thoughts on that too.
And the reason I'm saying it now at the end of the show is that his family of muggles are having to deal with all this weird shit, and they don't know what all of it is, and they're not sure how they're going to handle this. And I spent a lot of heavy lifting earlier this week trying to get them lined up with people who can and help them, and so on and so forth. And so we talk about this a lot on the show. We haven't hit it recently, but truthfully, yea, verily, behind my chair, you will see but a small portion of all that which came before me. And there is no made up 13th warrior poem for yea, verily, there I died. And I have enough games for my children and their children's children and their children's children's children. No, there is no great saga poem about this. I've just got a mountain of shit. And while, yes, I think some of this will find a home with my long-suffering child, there's stuff that's not. And so if you were watching this and you have a sizable collection, I don't know how to tell you this, but your sister and her family are not as enamored with micro armor as you perhaps believe. Or, your meticulously kept combination of endless quest books or whatever else the rest of that shit is. You need to start thinking about this, because if you haven't started thinking about this, I can tell you that my friend and I talked about this briefly last year, and it went in one ear and out the other. And in February, he started to go blind. And as all the other concerns ramped up, the last thing on his mind was having to try to sort out his collections. And so, this time talking about it is a little more personal because I just can't say it enough, right? You really need to start getting a handle on this. If you're over 40, if you're over 50, oh, sweet Jesus, if you're over 60, you need to start having a plan and a vision for what happens when you die so that it doesn't go to the dump, so that it doesn't get scalped by somebody who gives your suffering widow or family $2,000 and walks away with $50,000 worth of stuff. Whatever it is, you need to start having a plan. And you need to start putting that plan into place, and you need to have directions, and you need to have instructions. And if you don't, the worst thing that you have laid in bed and worried about happening to your collection will absolutely be the thing that happens to it.
And Jim and I talk about this a lot. I talk to people that have, I tell people this a lot, and Jim and I are very sympathetic on this. I say, I ask people, what is going to happen to your collection every time? Oh, my wife will. No, she won't. Your wife will be dealing with so many problems. She doesn't care about your collections. No, it is. Well, my kids will. No, they won't.
No,
your
they won't.
Kids don't care about your collection. I know you think they do, and you want them to, but they don't.
That's
and so
right.
when your family, your near family doesn't care about it, they are going to try to get rid of it as quickly as possible. They're not going to get what it's worth, but they just want it out of the house and gone, and they're happy to get the $500, whatever that the Mr. Con Man or whatever will come by and give them. That is not doing your family a favor. That is being, matter of fact, that is hurting your family because
it's the cruelest thing you can do to your family.
Mm-hmm.
It's the cruelest thing you can do to your family at a time where they're going to miss you, in theory, at a time where they will be riven with grief and bereavement. You are now leaving an insane burden on them that they simply will not have the energy to deal with, and they'll simply say bluntly, fuck it, let it go somewhere else.
You don't know how many, over the years, of the last 30 years, you don't know how many times I've walked into half-price books in Dallas-Fort Worth area and found an entire D&D collection. And one time, Jim, an entire shrink-wrapped D&D collection, every single module shrink wrapped, and a white box, and all the supplements, which I bought, by the way, all those for $1,000. I bought it for $1,000, which means they probably paid They probably paid the people $500.
So let me end with this little note, right? So you think you hear these words, right? So Don Zamora's in the chat, and I'll be at Don's convention next year, and I'm going to definitely do this panel at that show in Michigan. But let me talk to something that I saw today that just drives this home even more. So if you are not aware, there is something called uranium glass. And uranium glass, when you hit it with a black light, it glows, and it's cool, and it's awesome.
It's that green stuff.
I'm in a group for people who collect radium glass or uranium glass, because it is neat. It is kind of nifty, but at the same time, I don't need a lot of it. I have a lot of other things. But I was watching. I watch this group. I read this group regularly, and somebody made a post and said, "Hey, is this uranium glass?" And there's like, if this had been a live conversation, this is where the entire room, like somebody could have stood in front of 400 people and said, "Hey, is this radium glass or uranium glass?" And there is a hard, silent pause, because after the person made the post, finally somebody just went ahead and said, "Actually, no, I work at a funeral home, and those are someone's ashes that have been made into a statue that, once exposed to light, will glow in the dark briefly. But that angel statue is not uranium glass. Somebody just literally threw out their dead grandmother or father or somebody."
Gosh.
Oh,
My God.
And so now this is like my postscript on this. Like, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you. If you watch this show, you've heard us hit this note before, but it's more urgent. I have a friend who is in the last stages of his life, and once he passes away, it's going to be a shit show. And we've been trying to line up things so that it doesn't go the way it could. But I beg of you, before something you've treasured, something you've collected, either, find it a new home, arrange for its new home, spell out exactly who to talk to handle this stuff, and so on and so forth, somebody you trust. But for God's sakes, get these arrangements made sooner than later.
Nobody loves your collection as much as you do. I will say it again. Nobody loves your collection as much as you do. When I turned 60, I promised my wife that I would start divesting. I'm 62 now. The last 2 years, I've been selling, because I don't want to leave my wife a mess, which it would be. It's still going to be a mess. If I drop dead tomorrow, it's still going to be a giant mess. Now, however, she has a list of names, which include people like Jim and Zach and people I know that will help her through it. But my point is, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for her and the kids. Wow. And I started selling because you can't take it with you, folks. There's no prize for whoever has the most giant game collection in heaven. It just doesn't work like that. It's all left behind, and you're leaving relatives who are heartbroken to deal with something that they don't have any expertise in. Right. And it's not fair to your family. And as a matter of fact, you really need to make as much money as you can before you die to give to your family, so they'll have something tangible to deal with, rather than just these boxes of stuff that they have no clue what it's worth, and they're not going to be able to get what it's worth by selling it. And you're doing your family a disservice by hoarding this stuff and hanging on to it. And I mean, I could go on for an hour, but I mean, you see
we're good.
Yeah.
So really and truly, that's a great place to end the show. It's been a real pleasure, Matt. I really hope the Kickstarter gets you across the line, buddy. It's always definitely a pleasure when you come on the show. When you relaunch the other project, you're going to come on to a fan.
Absolutely.
I wish all of you watching this show the very, very best. I've been through hell this week. I've been through hell the last 5 or 6 days with my friend. I didn't know. None of us knew. The family kept it very tight to the vest. And I would just say, tell the people you love that you love them. And that doesn't necessarily always mean family. Family are the friends. Family you're stuck with. Family you're kind of screwed with. But friends are the people you choose to have in your life. And they're the ones that really matter. So,
Absolutely.
Thanks, Matt. It was great
Yes,
seeing you
Matt.
again. Obviously,
Oh, thanks
Yeah.
for having me on, guys. I appreciate it so much. It's actually, I laugh. I hope we actually said Port Mirror somewhere
we
in
did.
there.
Don't
but
worry.
had
We
a lot
sent
of
the
fun.
link up.
Yeah,
Here,
the links in the
Port
back.
Mirror.
By the way,
Port Mirror. Back it on Kickstarter. Port Mirror.
Campers-tavern.game/mirror. The link's been up this whole time. Actually, if you're watching this on a replay, I'll make sure I put the link in the show notes. Mike, do we got a special guest for next week?
I think we were talking about. Did you talk to Ronan yet or
Yeah.
not?
Yes. All right. Yes, we do.
Okay,
Ronan Wong, the actor and game designer, will be our special guest next week. So,
Woo!
Yeah.
we're moving up in the
Nice.
world.
Stop.
he was a great.
Don't pat
He's
yourself
another
on the
one I
back
saw
here,
at the
Bill
con. And
Farmer.
Oh, he was a great man. He had such a good time at the con. We were so happy.
It was a lot of fun to hang out with.
I saw him at the bar, and I immediately recognized who it was, and I was
Who's
like,
that guy?
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, okay. And then I always feel like I'm imposing, and I know I'm not because everybody has the same hobbies there, and it's really easy to talk to people. But yeah, he was one I was like,
I love the
and he was like
business
right next
tonight
to me at
that
the
just
bar.
Matt confessing he's been stalking game designers at North Texas. I think that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
It's kind of
that's
creepy.
me.
Yeah, it's really
I-
kind of
like,
creepy. Yeah, it really is.
We are
Yeah,
the creepy
I'm
life.
just I'm leery.
I mean, first of
That's what
all,
it
he's
is.
been told to go watch adult content by his spouse, and we're finding out that other things. So I think really and truly, this has been one of our best shows.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah. And this is what she's talking about. Would you
Whoa,
rather
whoa,
have
whoa,
adult
whoa.
content or a big
All
stack of
right.
books?
I don't want to know if that's like the monthly manual, the school.
Dad,
I don't want to know.
don't make your wife wear the turtle costume, Matt. Stop.
Folks, thank you
Mm.
so much, everybody. Really do appreciate it. As a reminder, Zach Laser is the sponsor of our live stream, so thank you, Zach.
My
Other
soon to
than
be
that-
road buddy.
Yeah, I know. God, not your road
Mm.
buddy, not mine. I'm
Mm.
saying.
Those
live
aren't
sure
stream-
yours.
We'll be
live stream
sharing a
tomorrow.
bedroom.
Live stream Friday night. Friday night's the last night to back Rob Conley's Kickstarter. By the way, it's going to wrap up by 10 o'clock on Friday. And, of course, live stream on Saturday. Oh, and Sunday. Oh, my God. Yeah, inappropriate characters on Rumble. Folks, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. We will be back next week. Catch you then.